So we'll break down the wine later, but let's break down the series. Let's go down the line here. Forwards, D-line, goalies, coaches. So think about all of those. I'll blitz you first, Stu, with the forwards. Which team has the edge?
Advantage to, we like those Edmonton Oilers, really do. I mean, you know, it's once you want to start with the top line guys?
Right? Yeah.
You want to finish with the top line guys? But the top line guys are world class production. These guys now perennially, that means every year, Scotty, finish in the top 2 or 3, just in terms of total output. They are incredibly dangerous up front. And there's a good amount of depth across this roster. Make no mention of the Evander Kane acquisition a later time in the schedule. Over the course of last season, I think this has been an impactful add, too. Zach Hyman comes over. He's used to playing with top-end guys like Marner and Matthews in his old stomping grounds. He's been a hand-in-glove fit in the top 6 for these Edmonton Oilers. So for me, as much as I like these Kings, and this is no knock on the Kings, I think Todd McClellan of the Kings would be quick to tell you that's probably a deeper roster with respect to that sector.
Yep, and game breakers. That's the thing. You have game breakers. The ability to rescue a game, to break a game, bust a game open in the Stanley Cup playoffs if need be. When you have 2 league MVPs in McDavid and Draisaitl, and Evander Kane on a 40-45 goal pace so far in his time there in Edmonton, and of course Zach Hyman that you mentioned, I have to give that. I tip the cap in the favor of the Edmonton Oilers, a little bit more explosive offensively.
Okay, so Oilers take the first category, D-line. Are you tilting L.A. or are you staying Edmonton? And apparently, let me just confirm, we can't do pushes, right?
We can't do pushes. Huh?
Nope. No pushes allowed. You got to pick.
No pushes allowed. You needed clarification.
Yeah,
you
of course.
needed clarification.
Like this group was going to push off.
Right, exactly. I'll say L.A. And that's even in the absence of the great Drew Doughty right now, who's out with surgery. And the reason why I say the L.A. Kings is they've got a nice mix of young players that have really emerged, like Dursey, of course, and Spence on that right side. Stetcher's played very well. Roy's elevated. But Ole Mata, who's won before in Pittsburgh, knows what it takes to win. He seems to be the forgotten man. And anytime you have an Edler on your third pair, that's pretty impressive. So pretty in short order, given the injury, especially to Drew Doughty, they've been able to reconfigure their back end, and it's served very well for them right now.
Yeah, wouldn't knock on you on that pick at all. I think if Doughty's back, if Doughty can be a factor, that's a decor to me that just almost based on the experience alone and the fact that they've kind of backstopped this group to the year that they've had when nobody really anticipated they'd have this kind of year. It's maybe an intangible element. I don't know. It's so much you see it in the the stat line with respect to the way these two decors stack up. But just based on where they have put their respective clubs, maybe an edge to the LA decor.
You know what I thought of, and you know me. If I'm thinking about it, I'm just going to bring it on air. You know who's here? The board.
Yeah,
what I'm talking about.
Go.
Severance drop?
Go.
Severance. We talked about it.
Yeah, severance. Oh, the board.
The board in the ear, right?
The board is here.
Getting deep.
You need to tell me
Severance.
Severance.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Severance fans know.
Yeah, we shifted to Chris Walken.
I know I threw you a curveball.
Now you're scratching
you
my back.
Appreciate it, Stu.
He's back.
Goaltenders. Weeksy, you have to lead us off here.
Goaltenders, I'm going to say the LA Kings. And give me an opportunity to get deep with the answer. Since we're talking the Pacific Division, those waters out there. Jonathan Quick's the Grant Fuhr of this generation, so to say, the Mike Richter of this generation. He is clutch, so fun to watch, so competitive. Cal Peterson and behind him out of University of Notre Dame has been outstanding as well for them. So I think the LA Kings are well positioned. Now here's the back end of the story, though. The way Mike Smith is playing and the fact that Mike Smith is playing at 40 years young and spry in the net for the Edmonton Oilers, and the way he's playing down the stretch and his ability to handle the puck, this makes this a much closer fight than a lot of people would think on paper. Mike Smith's been great for the Oilers so far down the stretch. But I'm still saying the Kings just based on the Jonathan Quick factor.
Yeah, Quick is hard to bet against. He really is. He's been there. He's battle-tested. And really, if there's a single aspect that maybe gets the most weight for this group, I mean, it's hard to, because they've done more than we anticipated, it's hard to knock, it's not hard to not to point to that explanation as goaltending. But I could give them some love to the other side. I really think Mike Smith, and health at 40, and given his kind of career, that's a legitimate concern. But he really has posted better numbers when he's been healthy, when he's been available for these Edmonton Oilers. He's in a really good stretch right now, comes at a really opportune time of the year. And, there's an element there, and you mentioned it, Weeksy. I'll focus in on it. Puck handling. In the postseason, this could be, he can behave like somewhat of a third defender when he's out there, just in terms of the ability of the club to transition back the other way. So, Mike Smith might bring that kind of element. And set the Oil apart in that respect.
So this is the capper for you, Stu. Coaching.
Okay.
Coaching edge?
I can't say that I've got a great feel for Woodcroft. I know the job that he's done with the Edmonton Oilers since he's been brought on, and really has, you might go as far as saying, saved their season, if you're willing to give coaching that much, that much part of the explanation. But Todd McLellan, for me, has long been, an upper echelon coach in this league. He's a good hockey man. He's a great communicator. He is somebody that I think that when he steps to the center of the room inside an NHL locker room, he has the respect, the ear of the group, and he's done a remarkable job with these LA Kings. So edge for me in goaltending, in spite of the sorcery that Jay Woodcroft has done. Give me some Todd McLellan.
Yeah.
Give me the edge for LA in this one.
I would echo that. I spoke to some members of their staff last night for the LA Kings. They're up in Seattle. They were certainly celebrating the fact that they were able to clinch a playoff spot. And the LA Kings have been in a unique situation, because anytime you're coming off of winning 2 cups, then you've got a little bit of a downturn. Yeah. Then you've got to rebuild. But you have the deepest prospect pool in the league, which they do. But then you have to retool by adding the likes of Arvidsson, somebody you know well from seeing him down there in Nashville, adding a Philip Deneau, as Foxy just talked about, and basically augmenting this group.
Yeah.
They've done an impressive job, and Todd and the staff have done outstanding work. So Jay Woodcroft, I've known him since we were kids. I love what he's doing up at Edmonton with this group. He's done masterful work for the body of work. Todd McLellan, and by the way, he's coached both teams. It's the Todd McLellan Bowl.
It's the Todd McLellan Bowl. I really like that. Have you registered trademark in that? Have you registered trademark in that?
I know a lawyer here on set, and it's not Brownie or me. So
no, it's definitely not me.
My card. One quick point on that, though. Talked to Luc Robitaille last summer prior to the Deneau-Arvidsson transactions. And Luc's words were, and this is kind of, as an extension of the GM, Rob Blake, this group is all on the same page. We're going to go out and get some players like Arvidsson, like Deneau, that can help us stabilize this group so that these youngsters that we have, and it's one of the most brilliant pipelines in all the NHL, the LA Kings right now, stabilize our organization so that this is a good environment to develop young players. Point I'm making is that was the expectation for this group. We're just trying to develop. And Todd McLellan, having really blown the lid off of that and far exceeded that, it speaks to his capabilities, his competence as a bench boss, that he's exceeded even the aspirations of the management team, in my opinion.
He handles trademark. I'll do sales, marketing for the McLellan Bowl.
Exactly.
Media.
Social media.
And binge watching, if there's a category for that. You're very strong in that area.
They want to just play all
I take my cues
7
from
games in a row for me. So who wins the McLellan Bowl in your mind? The winner of the McLellan Bowl, if you had to predict it, is?
This is predicated on the health of Mike Smith. And I say that, let's make sure he's 40 years young and he's had some injury issues. If he's healthy, I think that changes the complexion of this series because of his ability to handle the puck. And quite frankly, he's played great down the stretch. I would give it to the Oil in 7 if Mike Smith is healthy. If he's not healthy, I give this to the Kings in 6.
EDM in 6 for me.
Edmonton
in 6. I think goaltending's a bit of a push.
Yeah.
It's even money at the end of the day. And I think on balance, this Edmonton Oilers team just comes out, I think just a deeper talent level.
That was great.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, though, is in the postseason, a lot of the Canadian teams have had difficulty going deep. A lot of pressure.
Why?
There's a whole. I could get into a whole thing, and
that's an hour show.
That's maybe a 3-hour show.
3-hour podcast.
But I will say this, and I will say this though. The other things that the Kings, another thing that the Kings have going for them, is the Stanley Cup credentials. Deneau just was there last year with Montreal. Yeah. Arvidsson was there with Nashville, as you pointed out. Of course, the original LA Kings in Kopitar, Quick, and Dustin Brown and those guys. So that helps.